do you notice any Indonesian neighborhood situated in Cape Town issues?
No, I think South Africa is probably, if not the most unequal country in the world economically
Okay.
at this point. You know, our society is still very much shaped by the legacy of apartheid.
Indonesia had a great naval. Yeah, and there's an interesting fact that Albert Kiki wrote that when he found the Javanese map, the Javanese already draw the map of Portuguese and Spain.
Really?
Can you imagine? Halo Sobat Deka, ketemu lagi di channel The Karanganjar. Ya, kali ini kita mendapatkan tamu yang cukup spesial, ya.
Matthew from South Africa.
Matthew, yeah, in Indonesia is Matthews.
Matthews, yeah.
Yeah,
Been hearing that a lot, yeah.
And Matthew what?
My surname?
Yeah.
Matthew Risick.
Okay, I'm Msilikasi Kumalo from South Africa. Jadi teman-teman saya juga punya nama Afrika Selatan yang diberikan oleh salah satu teman saya berasal dari Afrika Selatan. Jadi kalau ini namanya Matthew Risick, ini masih keluarganya Habib Risick.
Iya.
Okay, so you're from South Africa in which city?
Cape Town.
Cape Town. Yeah.
That's the one most people have heard of.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the capital is Cape Town.
We have 3 capitals.
Yeah, because it's confusing me. Sometimes it's Johannesburg and Cape Town.
Johannesburg technically isn't a capital. I think it's Cape Town, Bloemfontein, and Pretoria.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the 3. And they each have their own function. I think Parliament sits in Cape Town. I'm not really sure what the other 2 are. It's
Okay.
like a legislative capital. But yeah, 3 capitals.
Yeah, but I heard that Cape Town is one of the most beautiful city in terms of tourism because some friend of mine said that it's quite unique. The landscape is
Yeah,
Yeah?
it is beautiful. I mean, it's frequently in top 10. Well, like these public pollings, it's top 10 most beautiful cities in the world. It usually comes in first or second.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the average weather in Cape Town?
We have very mild weather, but we have 4 very distinct seasons. So in winter, it can get quite chilly at night, maybe to 5 degrees when it
5 degrees.
yeah, when it gets coldest. But during the day, probably about 14.
And how hot it can be?
In Cape Town itself, because it's so close to the sea, I would say like the average summer temperature is probably around 30 degrees during the day.
Yeah.
But if you go just inland, maybe 50 kilometers, you can often get close to 40
Wow.
degrees. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
in midsummer. Yeah.
for some Indonesian, it's quite surprising if they hear that in your country it can reach about 5 degree because most Indonesian always think that Africa is hot continent. Yeah, even your presence here is quite surprising for them. Like many of them quite surprised that you come from South Africa.
Inilah 7 keunikan dari wisata di Karanganjar Blitar. Yang pertama, bangunan zaman kolonial yang masih terawat. Yang kedua, jangan lupa mampir ke kamar Bung Karno ya. Yang ketiga, kita bisa kasih makan burung dara. Yang keempat, kita bisa kirim kartu pos lewat Priven Bus. Yang kelima, kita juga bisa kuliner istimewa loh. Jadi lapar nih. Yang keenam, kopi spesial dari perkebunan sendiri. Waitersnya bule loh. Dan yang terakhir, kita juga bisa berfoto jadul ala noni Belanda.
Yeah, because they never see that like the European looking.
Yeah. South Africa has, I think it's probably the biggest European descended population in Africa.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Even if we speak about Africa, it's not the same from one place to another place.
No, not
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
Yeah. South Africa is a very unique country in an African context.
Yes, in mostly in your country is the landscape is savanna, right? Or do you have
Actually,
jungle?
So technically, I think the largest part of the country is comprised of sort of semi-desert, arid
Okay.
countryside. But if you go along the coastal areas, it's more temperate. But as you move eastwards from Cape Town, it becomes more subtropical. So you do get, I don't know if we would call it true rainforest, but jungle-like conditions, I suppose, especially up close to Mozambique.
Yeah.
But the center and northeast of the country is where you get that typical African landscape, that savanna.
And you have many various kind of animals.
Yes, lots of. It's, I think for its size, its biodiversity is very impressive.
And and become the most attractive point of tourism.
Yeah, I would
like
say
the safari.
so. Yeah, I mean the safari.
So you have lion, cheetah,
yes,
leopard as well, and elephant,
elephant,
crocodile, but no gorilla.
No, that's Central Africa.
Yes, and but they live in a remote place, not close to the city.
What the animals?
The wild animals.
Yeah, I mean, we often refer to the big five in South Africa, which is elephant, leopard, rhino, buffalo, and lion. Those are like your classic African species. Those are nowadays mainly found in the eastern parts of the country in game reserves.
Okay.
Because we don't just have them like roaming around the streets.
But is it often that they appear in the middle of the city?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
But
not in the city, no.
Do you have issue of illegal hunting?
Illegal hunting, yes. Poaching is a major issue, especially with regards to rhinoceros. Because I think a lot of it actually gets exported to Asia. Because I think a lot of people in Asia believe that the rhino's horn holds some medicinal properties. So that the rhino is very close to extinction, critically endangered.
Okay. So you have your country have a law, like a regulation.
Yes.
About hunting.
Very, very, strong regulation.
But how if the wild hunting is done by the very local tribe, for example, like, they've been doing this for centuries.
Yeah.
Do the law enforcement have the right to stop them, or they just let them?
So I think it's kind of like a two-part answer, because in your sort of more rural areas, not in game reserves, I would imagine. I mean, traditional hunting probably isn't. I mean, it's not nearly as popular as it used to be, and I think traditionally people wouldn't target endangered animals such as an elephant or a lion. You're not going to hunt
wild beast.
Yeah, you might hunt like antelope, such as kudu or
warthog.
Warthog, people do. Sorry, fly. Hunting.
But no one hunts hyenas.
Not.
Only if you are Simba.
That was it? Do it again.
After the fall of the apartheid system, what is the condition now in South Africa? Like everything is really, how you say that, equal, or you still have some issues?
No, I think South Africa is probably, if not the most unequal country in the world economically.
Okay.
At this point, our society is still very much shaped by the legacy of apartheid.
Yeah.
In the sense that poverty is disproportionately spread amongst people of color.
Yeah.
Versus previously advantaged people who are white. But it has been 30 years since the end of apartheid, and I would say
it's in 1992, right?
1994, I think was.
1994. Yeah.
There was a lot of transition going on in the early 90s, even late 80s, but I think officially it ended in 1994.
But you know what? The most impressive thing, just after 1994, the fall of the apartheid system, then South Africa can join the if we speak about football, so they can join the international competition, and they win the African Cup in 1994 or 1995 maybe.
Oh, really?
I mean, you can imagine
I
that the
think,
first time.
Yeah. I've heard
They become the host and they win.
Yeah. Well, do you mean for rugby?
No, soccer, football.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, during the late of 90s, it was really a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You cannot recall any name of it?
I'm not really a football follower. So,
And in the 1998, South Africa also joined their first World Cup, but they were stopped in the first
oh, really?
group. Yeah, so they lost to French, and they got to draw against Denmark and Saudi Arabia, but it was not enough. Now we speak about Nelson Mandela, okay, the hero of the South Africa. Like, even me as an Indonesian, I admire him. Yeah, but I want to know, what is the as the national hero of South Africa, but is it the same how all the South African people see him? For example, like the European descendants to see Nelson Mandela.
From my perspective and my experience, yes.
Of course, yeah.
Everybody has a
Yeah.
positive view on Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
I mean, you might find like some very isolated far right.
Yes,
cliques in
yes. Of
societies,
course, like
but I mean-
the older generation.
I would say as a whole, South Africa has so much gratitude and respect for
Okay.
those era politicians.
Yeah, and if you notice that Nelson Mandela loved to wear
Di Karanganjar, wisata edukasi lengkap, ada edukasi kopi, mulai dari penanaman sampai ke penyeduhan. Edukasi budaya, di museum sampai belajar gamelan, juga aneka permainan outbound yang asik. Bisa juga belajar bahasa Inggris sama volunteers loh. Kalau udah capek, makan siang dulu ya, Dek.
Oh yeah,
batik.
yes, actually.
Yeah, now I'm wearing batik. This is Blitarian batik. So I think this is the first time I'm wearing batik in podcast,
Okay.
because I'm having discussion with a South African. Yeah. When he visit Indonesia, our president gave him batik, and since then he always wore batik in almost every occasion. But the funny thing is, even though as batik become well known in South Africa, but many people didn't dare to wear this because they respect Mandela too much. But after Nelson Mandela died, people start wearing. So in South Africa, how popular?
I mean, to be quite honest, I didn't know that batik was from Indonesia before I came to Indonesia.
Of course, yeah.
But I mean, that sort of style, and there's lots of different patterns that. I mean, if I recall sort of famous images of Nelson Mandela, it does sort of ring in my memory that he did wear similar sort of clothing. Yeah. But I had no idea it was from Indonesia.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you still remember that I have some surprising fact about Indonesian and South African history.
Yes, you did mention.
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So, do you notice any Indonesian neighborhood situated in Cape Town?
Cape Town specifically, we do have what we call the Cape Malay Quarter. So
Yes,
I
yes.
know about the Malaysian influence, but I do remember you mentioned the other day that there's a place called Makassar
Yeah, Makassar.
that
Yeah.
is Indonesian, well, influenced by Indonesia.
Makassar is the capital of South Sulawesi.
I think I recall seeing it on the map now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know how you say that in your language. But the news that broadcast in Indonesia always say, but Kampung Makassar. Kampung means the neighborhood.
Okay, yeah.
It's Makassar.
Yeah.
So it's because of a historical figure named Sheikh Yusuf Al-Makassari. So Yusuf is Joseph, like he's like Islamic scholar, and he came from Indonesia, but he was banished to South Africa.
Okay.
You never heard about this?
I don't know the story, but I do know where Makassar is.
Yeah.
But what period was this? When?
I think it's in the 17th century. So once Nelson Mandela said that he's one of the greatest South African ever. Mandela, inspired by the struggle of Sheikh Yusuf, because in Java, he he opened war against the Dutch, but since he was so fierce, and then he was captured and then exiled to South Africa
By the Dutch.
by the Dutch.
So when it was still a Dutch colony. In
Yes,
South
because South
okay.
Africa is also a part of Dutch colony,
Yeah,
right?
back then.
In South Africa, he began like preaching. So like if in South Africa now there's a Muslim community.
Yeah.
So the origin is from Sheikh Yusuf.
Okay.
Yeah, and he also become inspiration for Nelson Mandela to fight against the apartheid system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. To
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
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 Makassar nowadays is like, I've never actually been into Makassar. Is there any sort of monument to him or remembrance?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But it's better that you found his tomb in South Africa.
Yeah.
After you come back.
Yeah, when I get back, I'll.
Yeah.
read it.
There is also another interesting facts because in the medieval age, Japanese sailors already sailed to South Africa.
Mhm.
So if you ever hear about Portuguese sailor, the name is Alfonso de Albuquerque.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's looking for spice from the east in India, but like the route that he had to stop in South Africa,
Yeah.
in a place that we call Tanjung Harapan. I don't know in South Africa, but it literally means Hope Peninsula.
The Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah,
I think it's probably
the Cape of
Good Hope. Yeah.
Good Hope. Okay.
Yeah.
So he saw some big galleys. You know galleys like the
No, ships.
Ships, yeah. And he wondered where did the galley come from, and people say that it's a Japanese galley. So he wanted to prove that it's really from Java. So he went to Indonesia and found that Indonesia had a great naval sailor, naval forces. Yeah, and there's an interesting fact that Albuquerque wrote that when he found the Japanese map, the Japanese already draw the map of Portuguese and Spain.
Really?
Can you imagine?
And did they have no idea that they were
Yeah.
around there?
I mean, like our naval history was so great, but it feels like it's long forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you visit the temple, the Penataran temple, like 10 minutes from here?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the image in the relief,
Mm-hmm.
the image of the Aztec people.
Mm-hmm.
You know Aztec?
Yes.
As
From
people,
South
yeah,
America.
like the Native American.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's no way that the Native American sailed to Indonesia. The possibility is we sail to America.
Uh-huh.
But it's just Indonesian, we don't have a strong culture of literation. Like, we didn't really write, we didn't read. So it's kind of
There's
forgotten.
no record of it.
Yeah, but we can trace the remaining, the legacy of what our ancestor did.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What is the unique culture of South Africa that you find is only happen in your country?
Unique culture.
Yeah.
I mean, South Africa itself is just so diverse. I wouldn't say there's like one specific South African
Yeah, we have to be
culture.
more specific.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Like the Bushman. Can you speak like that?
No.
Jadi teman-teman kalau sering lihat film tahun 90-an ya yang sudah lahir ya. Oh, 80-an ya. Jadi ada film berjudul God Must Be Crazy yang dimainkan oleh Nick Shaw. Jadi sampai nonton nggak? Okay. He watched it.
Oh, you watched it?
So it's a story about a bushman that the first time he found a Coca-Cola bottle, fell from the sky, and he thought that is the drink from God.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the box office.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just on the term Bushman, nowadays, I think it's considered an offensive term to refer to what is traditionally viewed as a Bushman would be a person who's a Khoisan.
What?
Khoisan.
What is Khoisan?
It's like I suppose, an ethnicity in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. Found in certain regions. But that is what has historically been referred to as a Bushman.
Okay.
But in South Africa, I think it's considered like we can't refer to people as Bushmen anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the historical connotation as being derogative. So there are many things that unite the different distinct cultures within South Africa, and it's such a. I mean, I think everybody has pride in our different sports teams and our natural beauty of the country. But because of all our diversity, there are so many different, unique foods, unique languages. We have 12 official languages, but I'm sure upwards of 30 are spoken in the country.
And I think one of the unique thing is fufuzela. You know fufuzela?
Yeah, the vuvuzela.
You know, like some people said it's very unique, but it's in same time it's annoying when if I refer to the World Cup matches. Yeah. So some players got annoyed by the vuvuzela. Yeah, like
at least people remember it.
Yeah.
Karanganjar Kopi.
But yeah, I remember it became such a big talking point back in 2010.
Yes. But during the 2010 World Cup, did you watch any of the match? In the stadium?
I'm trying to remember. No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't. I was 12 at that time, and I didn't.
But do you still remember the hype?
Yeah. So the thing about South Africa, and this sort of goes back to your first question about the progression since the end of apartheid to now, is we South Africa was really on the up and up economically and up until about 2009. And in 2010, with the World Cup and all the pride that came with it, there was a lot of positivity in South Africa. Since then, we've had a couple of I should say it seems to have descended into corruption, and people are. I think the psyche of the country has deteriorated since 2010.
Yes. But it is not just happening in South Africa.
Yeah,
it happened in Brazil as well.
Yeah, but it's not specifically because of the World Cup. It was such a fun, amazing thing, and then we didn't have the World Cup. It's like it just happened to coincide with a political shift, which the country, to be honest, hasn't really recovered from.
Yeah.
Because I mean, South Africa is so unique in the sense that to tackle, as I said, the legacies of our past, the solutions that need to be created to address the societal issues are so complex. And from what I can tell, from my perspective, there was quite a positive feeling up until around 2009, 2010. And since then, there's been a lot of economic mismanagement, which has just contributed to a vicious cycle of poverty, uneducation, and overpopulation.
But to be honest, for me, it's quite disappointing to see that the South African team were stopped in the first stage. I expected that they at least went to the second stage. But they cannot match Mexico, Uruguay, and in the last match they beat French.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And also, I think for the quality of the matches is also not so good. And there's a lot of boring matches, end up with a very few goal and a lot of 0-0 matches. I think the only remarkable thing about the South African World Cup is the theme song.
Waka waka.
Waka waka waka.
Yeah.
This time for Africa.
It's the best.
They still play that on the radio
ever. Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah, in every aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, a very catchy song.
Yes. Oke, gitu teman-teman ya. Obrolan kita sama Matthew ya, semoga membuka wawasan kita tentang sejarah antara Indonesia dan South Africa. Sampai ketemu teman-teman. Salam ngopi, ngolah pikir.